Welcome to episode 39 of Let's Talk Money with Wendy Silibi. What opportunities become possible when you pull resources together to invest? Well, my guest today, Palisa Lingolo, a Stokvel guru, will help us unpack the power of group savings, which is Stokvel. She has written a book on Stokvels, and I'm sure you can see it in what we know Stokvels, how they can make your money work for you. And I'm sure all of us want to know how we can make our money work for us positively. Welcome, Palisa.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Melody.
Great to have you.
Great.
You know, there's a myth out there, ne? Ya hore di Stokvels ke tsa bonkgono le bomkhulu. How true is that, and how can we change that narrative? Actually, before yesterday, we went to open a Stokvel account. And as we walked in, there were two of us, and this young man comes to us and he looks at us. He says, "How can I help you?" So we're like, "No, we're here to open a Stokvel." He says, "Yeah, I could tell who you've come to open." But don't count us amongst those people. Runa, what a different breed. Let's just correct it right there. We are woke ladies. So just to deal with this myth.
So look, I understand where the myth comes from. Stokvels were seen as something to abo me, baba holo, and associated with actually even poverty. But there's a lot of perception that is changing, especially the past 10 years. I'm not Meamoholo, I'm in 6 Stokvels because I've seen value in saving together and building funding together for different opportunities. So that perception, especially now, it's incorrect, but we need to unlearn that this model can be used by professionals, can be used by business people, can be used by literally anybody, even men.
Okay, even men. Yeah. Hey, I seem to have a men. Okay, so maybe let's start by painting a picture of what a Stokvel is and how they work for someone who's watching who has not participated in one.
Yeah, so Stokvel, whether you call it a Stokvel club, group savings, or what the people like calling crowdfunding, it's literally people coming together with a common goal and saving for that common goal in order to achieve it much quicker. Because as you know, the savings rate in South Africa is quite low. It helps with accountability when you are saving together. So that's literally the definition of a Stokvel. This can be in the form of family. It can be in the form of friends, colleagues, neighbors. So any group of people saying they want to save for a common goal literally is a Stokvel or a club or however you want to refer yourself with. But I think the most common that resonates with people is group savings because a lot of people, when you think Stokvel, exactly have that perception of an old woman of some sort, but anybody can group save together.
Yeah, I said to that young man, "Ukila mana wana ukhono tsasang le pinki tse kana o tlo re re bone fela re sa kena." But you know, it was just a joke that he was making. But you know, you and I know that we've heard so many stories, horror stories about people losing money. Modi groups, one person disappearing with all the money. How, for someone who's watching us, who's heard these stories and they're reluctant to open a Stokvel account, how can a Stokvel group protect itself against such?
So it is quite sad that most of the time the highlight around Stokvels has always been that. I think for the most time, I mean, I've even experienced it through my mother, where one of their people, they went to go buy groceries and she just didn't pitch, and it was a neighbor. So those things used to happen a lot long ago. They have decreased, to be honest. And the reason why they're decreasing is because people are becoming more financial literate, using bank accounts instead of somebody's account or giving somebody cash for temptation. So things like having an actual stokvel account where everybody is just putting into that is nobody's account, it's the group's one. There is risk management measures that are in there because there's signatories, the other one cannot do without the other one authorizing. Some of these accounts, they come with internet banking, so which means there's also that transparency and no cash. So nobody could literally withdraw Ali one and run away with the money. So those things were built for people to use to be able to avoid those things. And hence, we have seen a huge decrease of hearing people run away with money because people have started using these accounts and digital means of transacting among each other. And also just having legal documents together of that hold you to what you agreed on. That's what has decreased. What's still said though is the highlighting that is of that when there are such great things that Stokvels are doing nowadays. But there's a lot of unlearning, there's a lot of perception to change. But for somebody that wants to get into that is to really use the modern way of stockfelling, the digital platforms, the proper account in order to avoid somebody running with money. So there is risk management in place now.
Okay. And I mean, when you talk about digital, we now live in the AI, in the digital era, where stokvel groups don't have to go into the branch anymore and withdraw thousands of money and then risk walking kayona and then get robbed outside and lose everything that they have worked for. So there's been so much development and enhancement that has been done to the stokvel to also demystify this thing, or it's a labor intensive process with high risks, And so maybe let's talk about, traditional stokvels that we know, that people associate le bomme ba bagolo ba tshwanang le rona are your burial societies, the stokvels are the groceries and so on. I want us to talk about the new age stokvels versus the traditional stokvels, what the differences are, so that if there are younger people watching, they can see the value of participating in group savings.
So what I always say to young people is that because it's called a stokvel, you actually sleep him on an opportunity of collaborating and clubbing together for things you actually enjoy as a young person. The World Cup is coming. You can be saving with your friends to go to the World Cup. You don't necessarily need to be saying we are in a stokvel. You are a club. You are a group savers with a goal of going to the World Cup. You're coming together, you are putting money together in a safe account together where you are contributing for that goal. So there is an opportunity for young people to use this model. Yes, they don't need to call it a stokvel club, whatever the cool name is these days, to use it for the things that really affect them, because it does make you get to your goal faster than when you are doing it alone. There's group discounts for some of these things now when you're doing them in the thing. So there is power in saving together for whatever goal you are. A lot of young people have great ideas now. They don't have funding for it, but they can literally club together to get them to the thing. So there is an opportunity of using this old traditional system for your young people's issues or solutioning if they learn to work together, and they're even at an advantage of being even more digital savvy, making it safer to transact as a group. So there is that opportunity for young people to collaborate financially for things that resonates with them. And then in terms of the old traditional stokvels, I think because there wasn't a lot of information back then, they repeatedly did whatever worked, and it has worked. Otherwise, there wouldn't be Stokvels today. It is one of the longest financial system that has been around. So which means there must be something that is really working, whether it's a grocery or a burial. But what the old traditional model, it does need to adapt to where the world is going. They do need, which is something, one of the biggest gap is recognize the power that they have. I see ladies that go buy to the same wholesaler all the time, but they're not even getting a discount. But literally that wholesaler habits and their books, they know there is this big stokvel coming to be. They literally budget Gabon. And because they are so used to that, they're not even leveraging on it. They can negotiate better rates on that stuff because they can negotiate getting free delivery. They can negotiate so many things because it's not a take alone relationship. The fact that they have done this so much with a certain retailer, they have the power. So I haven't seen that strength of negotiation using the power of numbers that is still missing, that actually retailers would never say no because this is a big industry. I mean, grocery stokvels are the second most used stokvels. We need money. Now I'm a product of a grocery stokvel. December was the nicest time of the thing, and I respect those ones. And one of the reasons I like grocery stokvel is that when my mom was in grocery stokvels, because we're in a poor area, she would not only get in stokvel for our home only. So in that had the groceries, the 5 fish oil, only one would stay at home. The rest in there, man, people that would never be able to afford the 5 liters and whatever. So how can one people guarding that? I always think of that thing. Other people that Batlotusa, they are extended families, people who can't have proper groceries in bulk. So in a place, but it needs to be used more effectively usually.
Whatever, as you are saying this, I remember that my husband, men, belongs to a funeral group where at the end of the year they buy groceries as well for families, And I mean, that grocery goes a long way.
Yes.
I mean, since Tolaka December, there are certain items that I will not be buying for the next 6 to 8 months. It carries you through the year. That's a benefit of that grocery stokvel, right? Like you say, I share it with family. There are people like because you can only use one.
So much. Mayonnaise, 5 liters.
You can only use oil one. But if you've received, say, for the 10 kgs, then it teaches you also to share with those that don't have. You start giving, and so I think December so I just want to say that even though we are pivoting to other types of stokvel or group savings, there's still space for your groceries, there's still space for your funeral. I think the power here is diversification. So before you even go further, seeing that you've even written a book about this, what was your experience? You touched a little bit on when you belong to 6.
Yes, so me, it's literally from growing up in a very stokvel, stokvel. I think say 3 that I could remember, and the most sustainable one was the grocery and the borrowing one. And that one can actually even promote bad financial management. So at home, everybody would be calling, Palesa, we're coming to borrow money from your mom's stokvel. So almost, and then that's where I literally experienced your salary only goes for 2 weeks. Teachers would learn. After 2 weeks of hollering, never like my stokvel. So that was my earliest memory around stokvels. But I never thought something that I will even go and write a book about it. But I just remember it fed people around me. I remember that it helped people had banally cash flow problems. So those 2 things were the things that I always had in my mind. And when I went to study finance and working in the financial industry, And I just remember my mom, because not a lot of my money actually is from the stokvel. The money we make out of stokvels from borrowing people. And she used to remind us, like, hey, remember the money you're going to school with? Give it to them. So when I worked with pension funds specifically, and I was an investment officer, and we used to invest group savings, zabatu, like company, but it's a group. And that's when the stokvel reminder also came again. I'm like, yo, these groups it's about to that invest, they make so much money. Imagine if those stokvels at home would do the same thing. Then I just started digging, do stokvels actually invest? Or kapaba save and just withdraw in December? Or really they just for burial and grocery? Then the more I learned was that it's not because they don't want to invest. There's not enough information out there that says they are able to, or they just plainly don't know about it. Then I think on Facebook I came across some place in Soweto that gathers stokvels, and then I just went there, and it was just out of my personal curiosity. I just wanted to know, do they know what is an investment? Do they use investments? Because at that time I was exposed to groups investments a lot, and it didn't need to be a formal anything. It's just that people didn't know. Like, did you know that Easy Equities allows stokvels to invest? Did you know Ellen Gray allows stokvels to invest? Did you know the stokvel accounts? Like, so then I find out that actually people don't know. And that's when I like almost made it my personal information that mission to like, I want to teach people that as group savers, because they've got that power, that you don't need tšhelete ngata to invest. Tšhelete ngata you can get as a group if you can't afford it as an individual.
Okay.
So that's how I got to the working of stokvels. And then
what benefits have you personally, seen by belonging to the stokvels? Because I know you belong to an investment one, and I don't know which other ones, but if you were to talking to a young person, what would you say when personally you would encourage them to come together, because you've seen positives in you investing with other like-minded people in other types of stokvels?
So for me, there's two main benefits that I've seen. It's access and affordability. Things that I wouldn't be able to do alone, I was able to ask my friends, or guys, that's why there's this 50,000 opportunity. I give 50,000. Count 5 and do this thing. And I saw that how easy it is. So for me, there was access. I was not going to be able to get into a certain opportunity if I didn't have 50,000. But it also talks to affordability. I didn't have 50,000 to get an opportunity, but I invited my friends to be able to do that. So my two favorite stokvels that I'm in, besides the other ones, the other one is just the grocery, because December home. I don't want budgetary grocery home because I'm in that. So that is always gonna be the Gela high. And then I've got the investment one where we are investing in shares with a group of friends of mine. I think it's been more than 10 years now. And our portfolio has been like over 80% because we've been patient and putting money to a point where we stopped totally contributing, because now it contributes with the return we're getting is our contributions into it. So it's a very thingy. And that one is data-led. Statement. And then that would be like one. Another one, I like traveling. And I got friends that like traveling. Traveling can be very expensive. When you plan for December, February, me and my friends can put together, say, guys, this year, let's put money together to be able to go there. So those are the access and the affordability that doing together with other people has been almost a game changer, because there's so many things now that I was able to, or I've been able to be exposed to, that I didn't need big capital for it. I just sourced common friends or even associates. Like we've got a student accommodation in UJ as one of our stokvels. It took us forever, but was I ever going to be able to afford student accommodation alone? Probably not. So those are the benefits that that I have literally seen using the Stokvel model.
Yeah, every time I speak to Palisa, I get so excited when she talks about access, and affordability. And if you are sitting there and you are watching this conversation and you've always thought maybe you want to get into a business opportunity and you always thought you don't have the funds to do that, this is the perfect vehicle for you to get like-minded people to come together, linse portions, and access that. It's actually the quickest way of wealth creation and wealth growth. So I just want to say that, we should move away from thinking that the Stokvels kids are for funeral fela and so on. And in fact, in my book, I do share that, if Lily a Stokvel group and they contribute 500 rands a month, the 500 rands can be diversified. You just don't have to put it all in funeral. Canary, we die once, but and we don't die many times. So let's invest for life and not for death. So if Linale a Stokvel Sejuano, you can actually take 100 rands here towards a funeral, 150 towards travel, 150 towards can get travel, investments, and towards groceries, like that. So with the 500 rands and there's 10 of you, you are literally opening up 5. You are diversifying into 5 things. At the end of the year, you'll get your groceries. When somebody passes away, 500, you'll still get the funeral cover. A trip. Some people have not even been to Brett's, or Mumu Mahalis. So you can actually use that money to take a break. So I think it's powerful that we diversify. Now, Alyssa, I appeared at one of these podcasts and we were talking around the fact that is it too late for you to can start investing in your 40s and your 50s? Because we take into account that time helps you with compounding interest and growing your money, etc. And I want us to talk to someone, I'm in my 40s, I'm in my 50s. For some reason, I've lost maybe everything that I had saved for and whatever. And I realize also I don't have the discipline of saving kiliwa. Is it too late for me? And that's the question, and maybe that's what we can give them, as some sort of information or education. Or is it too late for me to can start a 40 with a group of people to create that wealth, and try and buy back the time? You can never buy back time that has been lost, but with the time that you have, you can do something positive using this vehicle. What can you say?
So definitely it's never too late. Even if you are 50, even if you are 60, it's never too late to start investing for the time that is left. The thing about Rona, especially Black people, we think we're going to die or something. Yes, death happens. It's uncertain. But what I've seen, especially with the older generation that just give up, it's really too late. Let me not invest, is they actually live so much longer. When you actually have thought about done it at that time, you would have still been able to invest for whatever years that is. Yes, it won't be the same amount of years than the ones that you think. But the point is, it's when the opportunity, especially with podcasts like these that educate people, there is so many types of investments out there that you can be able to do, regardless of how much you have, regardless how old you are. So to answer the too late is never too late. In terms of doing it together, one thing of the advantages of doing it, saving together or investing together, that we don't talk about it as a benefit most of that, is the shared risk. When investing comes with risk, highly not against my money alone, I'm taking all the risk. 100%. When there's 5 of us, we've put money together into a risk. That risk is divided by 5, so which means the risk is even less now. So there is the advantage if you are scared, maybe I'm too old, I can't afford to lose money. Actually doing it together, the risk is less because it's divided among. And it's such an important thing to encourage people that are actually discouraged in doing things together when it comes to investments, group investments specifically, is that there's shared risk, there's shared fees. When you are doing it alone, all the fees are with you. So those are the advantages of protecting yourself from that mindset of, I don't have a lot of time left. What if I lose the little money that I want to do going forward? So those two things can encourage you that you're going to be paying less fees because it's shared. Your risk is going to be divided. So it is worth it to still go regardless of how old you are to start investing.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, Balisa. You know, the three most important things that I take out of this conversation is access, affordability, and risk that is spread. Ne? So how these stokvel groups can work for you. So as we close off, I'd like for you to just tell, maybe it's a stokvel, they've got lots of money. Padutsi in their stokvel account, manali 600,000 or whatever the amount is. And they have a lot of money, these stokvels, right? But it's sitting in a savings because these stokvel accounts, they're just savings account with minimal interest rate. How can they tap into other financial instruments, you know, and not be afraid to pivot and use body ETFs and so on? So can you just, as we close off, speak to them around how they can actually maximize on the money that they have so that it gives them even more?
Firstly, they should get my book because all the list is there. So it is important. To be honest, I've written about different group investments that are uniquely for collaborating to be able to do that, because when I was doing research, and I didn't do it even only in South Africa, I did it in Kenya because Kenya is big on group savings. The most important thing with just like with anything is to inform yourself. So reading books like Stokvels' book helps you to know what are the options that are out there, what are the risks, which institutions that offer for group investments. So when you are informed, you are more confident. But another thing that is quite good about informing yourself before going into investment, it gives you so much confidence because now you'll always be fearful of things that you don't know. So I encourage financial education for first. And when I wrote this book, I was literally thinking of groups that, in order for you to even convince the rest of your members to go into a certain thing, there's a whole product for group people that is in there. But you won't know that if you don't inform yourself, you don't read, you don't listen to educational things. So information and knowledge, empowering yourself with that so that you can be, one, confident, number two, so that you can be able to actually take that step as a group, to see these options that are out there that are not necessarily advertised as group opportunities. So that would be what I would say to Stokvels is get informed so that you are empowered to get into opportunities. There are so many, the easy equities, ETFs, Ellen Gray, that you can save in a bank account and still direct some of your money from there to these investments that are going to help you to grow your money, because Stokvels are very good at keeping the money. It's where to direct the money that they are always struggling. And we need millionaire, billionaire Stokvels now that there is readily information out there.
Yeah. But hey, so there you have it. The information is there. Ingata itlezi, the good book that I read, you know, wisdom is sitting at the city gates and she's shouting. Or anyone who lacks wisdom, if they want to know, let them come to this podcast and they will get the information that they need. You know, now that you've heard this conversation, go out there and apply.
Get 200. Retola guy, tola from na. My email is palengoholdings@gmail.com to order a copy.
Awesome. Re tla e kenya, so that you can be able to order the book. Ke Sisulu ba heso, 200 rands. And with that, I'd like to say thank you, Palisa, for coming to the podcast to empower the viewers. And to you who have been watching, continue sharing the podcast with others, like and subscribe. And until next time, thank you.